Hello and welcome back to Planet Sports Interviews. I'm your host, Niamh McDermott. Thanks to the amazing success of the men's team, we have to bring the women's team on to get their take. So I'm pleased to welcome Trafford MV Women's Rugby Team to the show today. Thank you for joining, girls.
Thanks for having us.
So I'm joined today by Beth Land and China Jones, who are both the team players on the MV Trafford team. So girls, if you could just start by introducing yourselves and telling us what you do within the club. Beth, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm Beth. I play number 9. I've been playing rugby for like 11 years now, and I helped set up the team last year.
Great. And China?
Yeah, so I play back row, so either 6 or 7, and I joined Trafford MV when we first started just over a year ago now. And from that first training session, I suppose, just not really looked back.
Amazing. And we spoke to the men about how COVID has affected sport and the club, but I would like to know, how has the pandemic affected you specifically, and how have you had to adapt ever changing the situation, like your training and that?
Yeah, so basically, as you can tell from the pandemic, there's been a massive rise in mental health issues, just from different things, from being alone, not being able to get much activity. And with the club as well, I think it's been a massive thing for us to make sure that we've been there for one another, especially during the times that we can't train. But when we have been able to train in between lockdowns, it's been very important for us to follow government guidance, whether that's social distancing, disinfecting all our equipment, having controlled numbers. So we've had to adapt quite a lot of things to make these training sessions work, but it's definitely worth it, just so we can get out on the field, really.
Great. And how have you been communicating with each other, Beth?
Just, we've got a WhatsApp group, so there's always stuff going on in there and things being put on. Like when we have been in lockdown, we've done things like little activities and challenges every day, so things posted on Instagram. So just things we can still do technically as a team, but in your own house, and then posting it and like doing like little competitions and things like that.
Yeah, of course. And I know I talked a lot about the men's team, and they were saying about how all your teams, I know there's 4 altogether, isn't there? How you are a close-knit family and your supporters, and it's not just the players, it's the players' relationships, their partners, their children, their family, it's everything. So you have missed out on that a lot, whether they can't come to your trainings and they couldn't come watch your matches near the end. How have you kind of coped with that, and how has your family maybe missed out a lot?
To be fair, that's one thing I do love about Trafford. It is like a big family. Like everyone, you sort of walk in and everyone knows each other, and it is like I say, like one big family. But again, social media has been great in that, and that we can all put things on, and like old clips of old games have been posted, and people have commented, like, about remember this. So I think that does really, really help.
Yeah, of course. And obviously there's been an amazing, massive growth in women's sport, fronted by programmes such as This Girl Can and Women in Sport. How much have you benefited from that growth? And can you see this only getting bigger, perhaps, coming out of the pandemic?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest things for us as women in rugby is growing the sport in general, and campaigns like that helps us so much, and it's so great to not only get ourselves involved but also try and reach out to younger girls as well, to start them off from an earlier age. Within men's rugby, it's quite common that they start off from a young age, where it's not so much within women's rugby. So I think that's one of our main aims, is to really target younger audiences, to show them how great the sport actually is, and really normalise it, because it's so much bigger than what it has been. But you're talking quite a few years back, it wasn't really normalised as much for women to play rugby. So it's really trying to make sure that we show the benefits of such a great sport and how great the rugby community can be for men, women, young girls, families as a whole, really. Yeah,
when I first started playing rugby, there was girls that were travelling like half an hour, 45 minutes just to come and train and play, because there was nowhere around them. And now I think it's the norm that teams have a women's section, like clubs have a women's section, which has been great for us, because it means you don't have to travel anywhere, and there's people that want to come and try it, and you're not short on numbers. It's so much better for us.
That's amazing, and it's obviously something you're so proud of as well, and every woman and every person in the world is proud of. What's the dream for women's sport? Like, where do you want women's sport to be, say, in a month, 2 months, 5 years?
really, we want it it's respected now, I'd say, especially more now than it has been before. But I think we want it more advertised. For example, there was this big issue around the men's Six Nations starting a couple of weeks ago, and the women's been postponed, and you can still see little niggles like that within the sport. So I think it's really just making sure that we're doing everything that we can to make ourselves known within sport, I think.
Yeah, like with the Six Nations, and there was the I Care campaign that got sent around, because when a certain sports feed had posted on social media, there was a lot of men commenting underneath saying, I don't care, like, why do we care? The men's is still on. And it was a bit like, well, we care. Like, I don't care about men's football particularly, but I don't go commenting underneath every outlet I see, oh, I don't care, why do I care that they're playing? So I'd just like to see that stigma sort of gone of it's, yeah, well, actually, you should care. It is still a sport at the end of the day. And if you enjoy rugby, you should enjoy men's rugby and you should enjoy women's rugby.
Yeah, of course. And I was just going to ask you as well, have you experienced any difference compared to perhaps the males team? And obviously, just like you said, the Six Nations, which can be very frustrating, I can tell by your voices. But have you experienced much difference? And has that, compared to now, has that changed much?
In professional sport, you can tell, one, through the crowds, most definitely, two, money. And I think it's not going to be an overnight change where something like that's just going to, women's rugby is going to be put out there with the same level as men's rugby. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. On a personal level, you do get comments now and again, especially when it comes to women's rugby. If you tell someone you play, they give you a face to say you play kind of thing. They wouldn't expect you, because there's this whole perception of rugby being such a manly sport and that you've got to be big. So you do still have that kind of comparedness that you wouldn't get with men's rugby. So yeah. I think it's definitely something that it has developed throughout the years. Definitely, I'd say with different campaigns. Sorry, we've definitely moved on, but it's nowhere near where it should be.
No, you still do get even things like when you say, like China said, when you tell someone that you play rugby, it's not even that, or it'll be, oh, what, like tag rugby? And you sat and you think, no, normal rugby, like that's what we play. But it is hard sometimes that people do sort of have this stigma around, like China says, that you're a girl, so you're not playing normal rugby.
Yeah, and obviously getting them nasty comments in the comments on Facebook posts, and you can't help but read them all as well. Has it helped that you have a team and you have a family, so it makes it maybe a wee bit easier, so that, I don't know how you can explain this, but your family kind of help you through them challenging times of getting these nasty comments, because they're not easy no matter what it is?
Yeah, definitely. I think when the I Care thing started, and it was our social media man called John, he'd said, right, well, let's put a video together, I'll montage every single clip of all of us saying, well, I care. So it was like a bit of a shove back to them comments, and we all did it together.
Yeah, of course. And then just in terms of the team, how was the team shaping up perhaps before the lockdown, and how are you shaped up now coming out of lockdown?
Well, I think after the first lockdown, when you were allowed to start outdoor training again, one of our coaches, we had the opportunity to train every single day with controlled numbers and obviously social distancing. And throughout the end of the summer, we really did build our fitness up. We did different fitness tests. We were doing training so much, and then we were developing a lot. And then the second lockdown kind of hit you. And I think it's been quite important to maintain your own fitness at home. One of the good things for us is we've also, within the club, we've got a running club as well, which a lot of the girls take part of. And you run by yourself, obviously, and you can track it, and you can compete as well, virtually. So you've got like a table to say who's done what and what time, distances. And that's been very helpful to some of the girls, I know, because it's been getting them out, and not only has that been helping them mentally, but it's also been making sure that they're maintaining fitness for when you are allowed to come back to sport.
Yeah, and it was hard for us because when we'd first started, like we only started and we only formed in January last year. So as a team, we only managed to play 1.5 game together. We had one full game, which is amazing, and it was the first game we ever played together. And then we had one game that got abandoned halfway through because of an injury. And then the week after we went into lockdown. So it was sort of, we'd got this momentum, built ourselves up to have our first season, and it was just cut short. So since then, it's been sort of a case of building it back up, getting back together. And then just as we got to a point of where we'd started doing contact and building it up again and getting used to playing as a team, then we went into this third lockdown. So it has been a very stop, start for us the entire time. But I'm sure as soon as we get the green light, everyone will be raring to go again.
Of course. So how do you feel going back? Is there nerves? Is there excitement?
I think a lot of excitement. Yeah, I think a lot of excitement. I think we trust the club in terms of what's going to be in place regarding COVID. There's always disinfectant products, social distancing, controlling numbers. So there's always a lot in place, which is great, and it's comfortable to know that we're going back to such a responsible club in a way. But I think excited is definitely one that we're all feeling to get back and just to see each other again and get back into the sport.
Yeah, we are definitely excited, but like China says, we've got all faith in our club that we won't be allowed back until it is 100% safe for us to do that.
Great. And girls, who would be your hero in sport? Rugby, golf, whatever it is. Who's your hero in sport?
Mine, I'm definitely going to get called for this. Mine would be Dan Bigger. I don't know why, but I've been following him since I was young. He's one of the Welsh players, rugby players. He's getting on a bit of an age now, so I always get teased. So he's not as good as the others, but there's always someone else. I was like, oh no, leave him alone, like he's perfect. So I always get teased for that, but I definitely say that he's one of my main inspirations.
Great. And Beth?
Well, I don't know. I have two. I think I have Tom Curry from the men's team. I just love him. I just like it because he's played for local clubs and then went to Sale Sharks and now he's playing for England. And he's done so well in that, and I do just really love him as a player. But also like Rocky Clark from the women's. She was one of the most capped England players ever, and that was between men and women's. And she was really one that got the game going for women's.
Yeah, of course. And girls, maybe if you could just give some words of inspiration and motivation to young girls that are looking to join rugby, what would you say?
Just do it. Yeah, honestly, just do it. Don't care what anyone else thinks. Don't worry about any stigma behind the sport. And I'm sure I can speak for so many girls on their behalf of this. Once you go to that first training session and you see how good the community is and how supporting the sport is, you won't turn back. It's brilliant.
It is, and it's just as soon as you go to that first session, if you go, you'll see that the people that do turn up to the training session are all different shapes and sizes. There's not a one fits all for rugby. Everybody can do it. Like, even if there's certain different things that you might not be good at, but that's what rugby's better for. You might be better in the backs, you might be better in the forwards. Like you say, it's not one size fits all. If you just go and try it, I'm sure you'll fall in love with it as soon as you do it.
Of course. And are you looking for more team members?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
There's never too many.
We'll have your social media in the description as well, so anyone looking to join can give a message into your social media. And I know John's your social media manager, and he can get on the ball and get everyone sorted. Hopefully this will give some inspiration to young girls looking to play, because I know it can be nerve-wracking. You might be too scared, oh, what if I'm not strong enough, or what if I'm too strong? And you have summed it up perfectly, and I think you're a great inspiration to all women players. Girls, just finally, if you could describe Trafford MV women's team in one word, what would it be?
Family.
That's good to see.
Definitely.
That's where you can just tell how close you all are as well. And like you said, you only started in January. You haven't had much time actually being together. You're probably on the phone more, but still, it's great that you've built that relationship. So girls, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for the Trafford MV team for joining us here again today. We loved having you on the show, and we hope everyone enjoys watching. Goodbye and take care.